Some wounds don't bleed on the skin. They echo in silence, in unanswered messages, in that hollow feeling when someone you trusted pulls away like you never mattered. And yet there is a deeper pain, the pain of betraying yourself to chase someone who already walked away. Before anything else, interrupt the cycle. Don't text, don't chase, don't beg. Silence is not manipulation, it is discipline. And the first confusion, the one that disorients him the most, is your stillness. When a man hurts you, you don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to prove anything, because real power doesn't shout. It rests, it breathes, it watches. In this video, I will show you a way that most people never consider, a way rooted in the ancient teachings of Shaolin. Not tricks, not games, but something much more lasting: clarity, presence, mastery of the self. You'll learn why your non-reaction can be the sharpest sword, why detachment is not coldness but compassion turned inward, why Shaolin monks teach that the highest strength is not in fighting back but in not being pulled in. You'll understand the difference between letting go and giving up. You'll learn to train your energy so deeply that your silence becomes unforgettable. And the deeper you go into this teaching, the more it will change how you respond to pain, not just in relationships but in life. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If you're ready to reclaim your peace, to rise without needing revenge, to master not the world but your own reactions, then stay with me. And if you find strength in this message, subscribe to the channel. Your path back to power begins now. There is a moment right after the hurt, when the mind burns hotter than any flame. Swords race, words sharpen, the heart screams for release. But this is the moment that defines the path ahead. Shaolin teaches, observe the fire, don't throw wood into it. In the temple, we train not just to strike, but to see, to witness emotion without becoming it. When someone wrongs you, especially someone close, they expect a storm, anger, tears, accusation, because that's what most people do. They pour their energy into the fire, hoping to control the chaos. But you, if you can hold still, you break that pattern. There was once a student who came to the temple after heartbreak. His energy was scattered. Every morning his breath shook with unspoken rage. I told him, sit in silence and watch the fire inside, not for one day but every day, until the fire burnt out, not because he suppressed it, but because he stopped feeding it. When a man expects drama and meets calm detachment, something inside him stumbles. Control slips from his fingers, not because you fought, but because you didn't. That's when the shift begins. Not outwardly, inwardly. You begin to understand. You don't need to react to prove your worth. You don't need to defend your pain. Your calm is not weakness, it's the presence of something greater. When you observe the fire without adding fuel, the fire burns out, and all that's left is you, steady and untouched, while he stands in the ashes of his own expectations. This is where power begins, not in domination, in discipline. They don't need to be in the room to disturb your peace. One message, one memory, one unfinished sentence, and suddenly your whole mind is loud. That's how most people live, haunted by echoes, occupied by ghosts. But the mind is a temple, not a marketplace, not a prison. And if you let someone else live there rent-free, rerunning scenes, questioning your worth, controlling your mood, then you've already given them more than your heart. You've surrendered your center. In the Shaolin path, the first step is not striking or blocking. It is clearing. Sweeping the floor of the mind, making space. Meditation is not a luxury, it is armor. 10 minutes, that's all. Sit, breathe, watch the chaos pass like clouds. Don't follow, don't resist, just return. There was a saying in the old temple, better to lose 100 battles in the world than lose the one battle within. Because once the mind is taken, your choices are no longer yours. Discipline isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about doing less. But doing it with full attention. Sitting in stillness may seem passive to an outsider, but inside, it is the hardest training of all. You learn to stop chasing explanations. You learn to stop rehearsing pain. You learn to stay right here. And slowly, something shifts. That voice in your head, quieter. That ache in your chest, softer. That person who once dominated your thoughts, fading. This is not escape. It's a return to clarity, to power, to the quiet inner room where no one else gets to enter without permission. There's a silence that doesn't come from fear. It comes from knowing. A silence that isn't empty but full of clarity, weight and choice. In Shaolin, we were taught early, not every insult deserves your breath. To react is easy. To hold your fire, that takes mastery. Pain demands an audience. Ego wants to explain, to defend, to win. But if you always answer every wound with words, you stay locked in the world of noise. You become a mirror, reflecting the same chaos that hurt you. Restraint is different. It's not suppression, it's sovereignty. So there was a monk old and weathered who once said, if the arrow does not land, it cannot wound. When people throw their arrows, insults, games, provocations, you can choose to catch them, or you can let them pass through thin air. Your absence, when it's intentional, can be louder than any outburst. It confuses those who expect reaction. It unsettles those who thrive on emotional conflict. But most of all, it protects you. Every reply is a threat. The more you speak, the more entangled you become. But when you say less, you remain free, grounded, still. Discipline is not always about action. Sometimes it's about the action you don't take, the message you don't send, the fight you walk away from, the truth you keep to yourself, not out of fear, but out of strength. Let them wonder. Let them fill the silence with their own questions. Your peace is not up for debate. Your energy is not for sale. And your silence, that calm, steady silence, becomes your shield. Pain doesn't just sit in the mind. It settles into the body. Tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, shallow breath, left untouched, it hardens. It turns into tension, fatigue, sickness. That's what most people don't realize. Emotional wounds leave physical footprints. In the temple, movement is medicine. Not to escape the pain, but to face it through form. We don't run from heartbreak, we stretch it, we breathe into it. We allow the body to express what words cannot. A slow walk before sunrise, a steady rhythm of breath, the deliberate opening of the hips where old emotions hide. Because the body holds what the mind tries to forget. When you feel stuck in sorrow, stillness is dangerous. Not the stillness of meditation, but the stillness of stagnation. The kind where you lie in bed for hours, trapped in loops of thought. That kind of stillness feeds the pain. So we move, not to distract, but to release. To shake loose the stories that no longer serve. To sweat out the anger. To exhale the blame. To remind the nervous system that it is safe to let go. Shaolin monks move the body to train the mind. Every motion is a message. Every stretch is a letting go. Every breath is a return. You don't need fancy poses. Just discipline. Just presence. Step by step. Breath by breath. Emotional pain cannot survive in a body that is fully alive. A body that bends, breathes, and returns to rhythm. A body that no longer carries someone else's weight. You heal not just by thinking differently, but by moving differently. Hurt rarely comes from what actually happened. It comes from what we thought would happen, from the story we built in our mind, how they'd show up, what they'd say, who they'd be. And when that story collapses, the pain cuts deep. But beneath that pain is a truth most never see. Hurt comes from expectation. Expectation grows from attachment. This is where the suffering begins, not in reality, but in the mind's grip on how things should be. In the Shaolin path, we are taught to hold everything lightly, not carelessly, but lightly, like holding water in your palm. Grip too tightly, and it slips through. Hold with ease, and it stays for a while. Then you let it go. People come and go. Feelings rise and fall. The wise do not cling, not because they are cold, but because they are awake. Letting go isn't weakness, it's clarity. It's seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be. It's stepping back from the illusion that someone else holds your peace. And here's the twist. When you stop clinging, you don't lose power, you gain it. You move from need to presence, from reaction to calm. And that, more than any words, confuses the one who thought they could shake you. They expected you to fall apart. Instead, you let go. You stood still. You kept walking. Attachment says, I need you to be okay. Awakening says, I am okay, even without you. Freedom begins where clinging ends. And the quieter your hands, the lighter your soul. When everything falls apart, the instinct is to run into distractions, into noise, into someone else's arms. But that never truly heals the break. It only hides it. What holds you together isn't comfort, it's structure. When life breaks you, structure saves you. In the Shaolin way, healing doesn't come from sudden epiphanies. It comes from rhythm, ritual, repetition, not dramatic changes, but quiet, consistent acts that realign the soul. Wake up early, fold the blanket, sweep the floor, Drink tea without rushing. These small things seem trivial to a restless mind, but to the warrior they are sacred. Each act is a message to the self. I am here, I am present, I have not abandoned my path. There was a student who came to the temple hollowed out by grief. He wanted answers. Instead, he was given a broom, told to clean the stone courtyard each morning before sunrise. For weeks he swept in silence, no guidance, no words. But with each stroke of the broom something shifted. His thoughts slowed, his breath deepened. He stopped clinging to what had been lost and began honoring what was still within reach. Discipline, focus, peace. Structure is not control, it's refuge. It gives shape to the days when you feel formless. It anchors you when emotions rise and fall like storms. Read the old texts, light the incense, sit in stillness. Let every small act become a thread that stitches you back together. This is how the warrior heals, not through escape, but through devotion to the ordinary. Because in the midst of inner chaos, it is the smallest rituals that keep the spirit from unraveling. There is a strength that looks like softness. It doesn't shout, it doesn't grip, it allows. Wu Wei, the ancient Taoist principle, means effortless action, not inaction, but alignment. Doing without forcing, moving with the current, not against it, responding with grace, even when everything inside you wants to resist. He hurt you. Maybe he left. Maybe he lied. Maybe he simply changed. And your first instinct might be to hold on, to chase clarity, to fix what cracked. But chasing creates more chaos. Forcing leads to more fracture. Let things fall apart if they must. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not interfere. Let it break, let the silence stretch, let the truth surface on its own. The old masters would watch a stream after a storm, mud stirred, water wild, but they never tried to clear it with their hands. They waited, because clarity returns when you stop disturbing the surface. This is your practice now. Don't become cold. Don't turn stone to survive the storm. That's not strength, that's armor, and armor weighs you down. Stay soft, stay open, but stay rooted in your own center. Sovereignty means your peace is not determined by his presence or absence. It means you don't collapse just because something else did. It means you can care and still walk away. Wu Wei teaches, water shapes rock, not by force but by persistence. So flow, not around your pain but through it. Not to escape, but to return. Let what wants to leave, leave. Let what no longer fits fall away. You don't have to control the outcome to stay in control of yourself. Energy is sacred. Once it's scattered on old wounds, petty arguments, or people who haven't earned your attention, you begin to feel hollow. Not because you're broken, but because you've poured too much of yourself into places that never held you with care. Shaolin monks are careful with their energy. They don't waste it on fools. They don't chase ghosts. The past is a shadow. You can walk into it 1,000 times and still it won't hold you. When someone returns, not out of love but curiosity or guilt, you don't owe them a storm. You don't owe them your fire. Offer no blame, no explanation, just presence. Not the kind of presence that begs to be seen, but the kind that says, I see myself now, I don't need your reflection anymore. When a man is used to emotional chaos, your calm unsettles him. He expects the same old script: tears, anger, tension, but you're not playing that role anymore. You've rewritten the story, and now there is no drama to feed on, no weakness to exploit. There's only silence, only stillness, only a person who has reclaimed herself. Discipline is not always loud. Sometimes it's in the choice to say nothing, to not answer, to not explain your healing to someone who didn't respect your hurting. This isn't about revenge. It's about remembering who you are when you stop handing out pieces of yourself to people who come and go like seasons. Let him wonder. Let him try to decode your peace. You don't owe closure to those who created confusion. You've chosen a different path now, one that doesn't loop back, but moves forward, with grace, with strength, in full possession of your own energy. True power doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't push, prove, or perform. It simply is steady, rooted, unmoved. The final form of power is peace. Not the peace that avoids, not the kind that hides from life, but the peace that has walked through fire and no longer flinches. This is not passivity, it's presence, a quiet authority that can't be shaken by someone's mood, opinions, or decisions. In the old teachings, we were reminded often, Even the fiercest warrior must return to stillness, because without stillness, strength turns to recklessness. Without peace, power turns to pride. When you become unbothered, not numb, but sovereign, people notice. They feel it before you speak. They sense it when you don't take the bait, when you don't chase closure, when you don't match their chaos with more noise. You stop reacting and you begin to radiate. It's not about indifference, it's about choosing where your energy goes, protecting the quiet space inside you like a temple. You've suffered, you've searched, but now you sit, not because you've given up, but because you no longer need to grasp. That stillness is magnetic, not because it demands attention, but because it doesn't. In a world that thrives on urgency, distraction, and emotional highs, your peace becomes rebellion. A calm so deep it disarms the room. A center so steady, nothing can pull you out of it. This is the highest discipline. Not how hard you can hit, but how gently you can remain. Not how fast you move, but how deeply you rest within yourself. Peace is the power that stays when everything else falls away. The deepest strength isn't loud. It doesn't seek to punish or prove. It simply returns again and again to what cannot be taken, your center. This part isn't easy. It asks for discipline, for awareness, for the courage to sit in silence instead of reacting. But with each breath, each pause, each conscious choice, you step further away from pain and closer to peace. Shaolin teaches us that healing isn't about fixing what others broke. It's about no longer giving them the power to break you. So move gently, hold your energy close, let go of what pulls you out of alignment. And if the world expects you to fall apart, don't. Stand still, stand clear, stand free. Thank you for walking this path with us. If today's message brought you clarity, peace, or strength, share it with someone who needs it. And subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire to continue your journey into wisdom, discipline, and self-mastery. Until next time, breathe deep, move with intention, and stay rooted in your peace.